Okay, so we're going to continue our exploration of antiderivatives, and our first example will be we want to find a particular solution, a particular function whose derivative is 3x squared that passes through the point 1, negative 1. So we want to find an antiderivative, a very specific one, whose derivative is 3x squared, a function whose derivative is 3x squared that passes through 1, negative 1. All right, so to find the antiderivative, we're going to think, how might we undo differentiation? So our candidate for an antiderivative might be x cubed, because we know, using the power rule for differentiation, that when we take the derivative of x cubed, we get 3x squared. Now, if I want to write the entire family of functions that has the derivative of 3x squared, then I would write x cubed plus some arbitrary constant c, because we know that when we take the derivative of c, that will just be 0. But we want a specific one that passes through the point 1, negative 1. So we're going to use this condition is going to allow us to find one solution, because we know that when the input, right, so when x is 1, when the input is 1, the output, we can call that f of 1, will be negative 1. So we can use that in our candidate for an antiderivative, because we can say, okay, when we put in 1 for x, well, that gives us 1 cubed plus c. But this output should equal negative 1. So we know, well, 1 cubed is 1, so we know that 1 plus c is negative 1. Solving for c, I can subtract 1 from both sides, and that gives me that c will be negative 2. So we have here that we believe that this function, x cubed plus c, where c is negative 2 or minus 2, will give us the specific function whose derivative is 3x squared but passes through the point 1, negative 1. Let's check. Okay, when we take the derivative, well, we definitely get 3x squared because the derivative of negative 2 is 0. And if we put in x equal 1 into our function, well, we know 1 cubed is 1 minus 2. That does give us the output of negative 1. So we have found a particular antiderivative given this point that it has to pass through, and we can call this point kind of our initial condition that must be satisfied by the particular function that we found. Okay, let's do one more example. This time we're just going to find, so our directions here are going to be, let's find the general antiderivative so we can remember what this means. So find the general antiderivative of g of x equals 2e to the 2x plus 1 over x. So just recall that when we're thinking about a general antiderivative, finding a general antiderivative, this means an entire family of functions that share the same derivative. So family of functions whose derivative is the function given, g of x. And right now, we don't have any rules to do this. We just need to think about undoing our differentiation rules, right? So let's think about this. Well, for the first part, we would like a function whose derivative is 2e to the 2x. Okay, so if I start with, e to the 2x, right? We know the derivative of e to the x is itself. If I start with e to the 2x, let's think about the derivative of e to the 2x. So this is a composition. So if we apply the chain rule, well, the derivative of e to the 2x will be itself, but we have a function in the exponent here, 2x, whose derivative is 2. And remember, with the chain rule, when we take the derivative of a composition, we take the derivative of the outside, that will be e to the 2x, and then we multiply by the derivative of the inside, and here that will be 2. So this works, right? The derivative of e to the x is 2e to the 2x. So that's great for our first term. And for the second one, what we're going to add, we're looking for a function whose derivative is 1 over x. And so you might remember one function whose derivative is 1 over x is the natural logarithm function ln x. The derivative of natural log x is 1 over x. And actually here we need absolute value of x because the natural log function can only have inputs that are greater than 0. And since we're looking for a family of functions whose derivative is given, we're going to need to add that arbitrary constant since we know the derivative of a constant is 0. So we have found our family of functions whose derivative is 2e to the 2x plus 1 over x. And we can always check. I'll do this in, I don't know, gray. So our check is, well, let's take the derivative of the function we came up with. When we take the derivative of e to the 2x, we're going to again use the chain rule. So it's the derivative of e to the 2x is itself, and we multiply by the derivative of the inside, which is 2. And we know the derivative of the natural log of x is 1 over x, and the derivative of c is 0. So we have found the correct antiderivative. Okay, now it is not very convenient what we've been doing of talking about using lowercase and uppercase letters to distinguish between antiderivatives and derivatives. And so we'd like to introduce some useful notation that can help us, that will just give us it will let us know whether we're dealing with a rate of change function, a derivative function, or whether we're dealing with an antiderivative function. And so let's introduce some notation that will help us do this. So far, you've seen that I've been using lowercase letters to represent rate of change functions or derivative functions, and uppercase letters to represent antiderivative functions. And now I'm going to introduce the indefinite integral. It's like an elongated s or an elongated sigma. And this is going to be called, an indefinite integral. And we're going to put inside the integral, this is kind of the inside, a lowercase f of x, which represents our rate of change function, or our derivative function, and its position in the integral, this is also called the integrand, the function we are integrating. And we're going to have a little differential here, dx, and you might remember differentials as infinitesimal quantities. This is an infinitesimal change in x, but we won't think about it this way right now. For now, this differential is just going to tell us our variable of integration, so the independent variable of our antiderivative function. And the result of all of this, right, so when we do this indefinite integral of f of x dx, this gives us the general antiderivative. So the result of this is a family of functions whose derivative is lowercase f of x, or the integrand, antiderivative. Right, so this is family of functions, an infinite number whose derivative is little f of x, the function that's in our integrand. So this is called the indefinite integral, and the indefinite integral gives us the antiderivative functions. So we say integral of f of x dx, this is how we name it, is the capital f of x plus c if, when we take the derivative of this resulting function, we get the rate of change function in the integrand. And so this is the indefinite integral. It gives us a family of antiderivatives.